The last image ever captured of Nancy Guthrie was a grainy garage door closing at 9:50 on a Saturday night. She was 84 years old. She wore a floral blouse and sensible shoes. She had just finished dinner with her daughter. Less than 4 hours later, her doorbell camera went dark. By morning, she was gone. And somewhere in the Arizona desert, a pacemaker stopped transmitting a heartbeat. This is the story of a kidnapping that made national headlines. A case that brought the FBI to Tucson. A mystery that has lasted more than 6 months. And a family that still doesn't know if their mother is alive or dead. Nancy Guthrie lived alone in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, Arizona. A quiet neighborhood, retirees, golf courses, desert sunsets. Her husband, Charles, had died in 1988. She had raised 4 children. One of them became a national television anchor. Savannah Guthrie co-hosts The Today Show. Millions of Americans wake up to her every morning. But in January of 2026, Savannah wasn't thinking about cameras. She was thinking about her mother's 85th birthday coming up in April. On Saturday, January 31st, Nancy took an Uber to her daughter's home for dinner. A normal evening, family, laughter, leftovers. At 9:48 p.m., her daughter drove her home. The garage door opened. Nancy walked inside. The door closed at 9:50. That was the last time anyone in her family saw her alive. At 1:47 in the morning, something changed. The doorbell camera lost connection. Not a power outage. Not a glitch. Someone had disconnected it. 25 minutes later, at 2:12 a.m., the camera's software detected a person. But there was no video. Because the camera's owner had not purchased the active subscription, the device recorded nothing. Then, at 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone. A medical device, implanted in her chest, designed to monitor her heart. Suddenly, silent. Sunday morning came. Nancy was supposed to meet a friend to watch a live stream of Mass. She never showed up. Her friend called, no answer. She called again. Nothing. At 11:56 a.m., relatives arrived at the house. The garage door was open. The front door was unlocked. Nancy's wallet, cell phone, hearing aid, and daily medication were still inside. She didn't take her phone. She didn't take her medicine. She didn't take her hearing aid. An 84-year-old woman with limited mobility, frail health, and a pacemaker vanished from her own home. At 12:03 p.m., the family called 911. The investigation began immediately. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos took charge. His deputies combed the house. They found blood on the front porch, Nancy's blood. A forensic team confirmed it. She had been injured. How badly, they couldn't say. But there was enough blood to suggest something violent had happened. Sheriff Nanos held a press conference. He urged the public to stay calm. But there was no calm. Because this was not just any missing persons case. This was Savannah Guthrie's mother. The media descended. National news trucks lined the streets. Helicopters flew over the desert. And the Guthrie family issued their first plea. Savannah appeared on camera, her voice trembling. "We need your help. Somebody knows something. Please, bring my mother home." Then came the surveillance footage. On February 10th, FBI Director Kash Patel released a video that changed everything. It showed a figure on Nancy's porch in the early morning hours of February 1st, a person wearing a ski mask, a dark backpack, and what appeared to be a handgun holster. The figure moved deliberately. They grabbed a plant from the yard. They tried to cover the doorbell camera with a gloved hand. The footage was brief, grainy, but unmistakable. A masked intruder at Nancy's front door at 2 in the morning. The FBI had recovered the video from residual data in back-end systems. Even without a subscription, the camera had stored fragments. Enough to show a person. Enough to confirm the worst fears. Nancy Guthrie had not wandered off. She had not fallen. She had been taken. But who took her? And why? The suspect description was vague. Male. Approximately 5'9" to 5'10". Average build. Wearing a black Ozark Trail hiker pack. Under the ski mask, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe noted what appeared to be a mustache. That was all they had. Then a glove was found, 2 miles from Nancy's home. Black, Forensic tested, DNA was recovered. But the DNA did not match anyone in the FBI's criminal database. No matches, no known offender, no suspect. On February 2nd, the Guthrie family received the first ransom demand, $4 million in Bitcoin. The deadline was February 5th. Savannah's brother, Cameron Guthrie, made a public plea directly to the kidnappers. Name your terms. We'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt her. The family worked with negotiators. They prepared for the worst. But the deadline came and went. No payment was made. No one claimed the money. Then, a second note arrived. It reportedly claimed that Nancy had died shortly after she was taken. The family did not confirm that note publicly, but the pain was visible. Cameron's eyes grew darker. Savannah's voice cracked in every interview. Then came a third note. This one sent to TMZ. It claimed the sender knew the kidnappers' identities and had video of the abduction. A man in California eventually pleaded guilty to sending a false ransom note. Just another hoax, another cruel twist. The FBI issued a statement on July 1st, 2026. Some of the ransom demands, they said, may potentially be legitimate. The case remained a kidnapping for ransom, but no arrest had been made. No money had been recovered. The investigation grew complicated. The public learned that the sheriff's office had not initially brought in the FBI. Sheriff Nanos defended his department. He said they had the resources, they had the experience, but critics disagreed. In February, Savannah Guthrie contacted Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs. She asked for the FBI to take over. Attorney General Todd Blanche weighed in. He said an FBI takeover was not necessarily the right thing to do. The Justice Department wanted to wait. Former FBI officials were baffled. One told reporters that an elderly kidnapping victim should be an immediate federal priority. Every hour mattered. Every minute. But the FBI was not at the center, not at first. That delay, however brief, would become a central question. Did the investigation lose critical hours? Did evidence disappear? Sheriff Nanos pushed back. He said the FBI was never refused. He said they collaborated from the beginning, but the perception of tension persisted. The public saw a fractured response, a local sheriff protecting his turf, federal agents waiting on the sidelines. The family, caught in the middle, made another plea. Not to the public, to the investigators. Please, work together. Find our mother. Then came the theories. One self-styled investigator claimed to have names, to have proof. He posted videos online. He named individuals. But he offered no verifiable evidence. Another tech entrepreneur, the co-founder of Flock Safety, claimed his license plate reading cameras could have solved the case. He criticized the investigation publicly. But the sheriff's office dismissed these claims. The case was active. The investigation was ongoing, and the public had no right to know everything. In early April, the Guthrie family released a new video. It would have been Nancy's 85th birthday. Savannah, Cameron, and their siblings stood together. They didn't smile. They didn't celebrate. They spoke directly to the abductors. "I want to say to whoever is holding her," Savannah said, "my mother is an 84-year-old woman. She is frail. She needs her medication. She is not a threat to anyone. Let her go. Please, let her go." The video went viral. Millions watched. But there was no response, no release, no sign of Nancy. The physical evidence tells a frustrating story. The blood on the porch, the glove with unidentified DNA, the doorbell camera footage, the pacemaker going silent. Each piece is a clue, but none of them lead anywhere. The DNA has no match. The surveillance footage has no identifiable face. The pacemaker connection, why did it stop at 2:28 a.m.? Was she still alive? Was she already gone? Doctors familiar with pacemaker technology said the disconnection could mean her phone was turned off, or that the device was destroyed, or that she was moved out of range. They could not say which. 6 months have passed. 6 months of searching. 6 months of waiting. 6 months of unanswered questions. Is Nancy Guthrie alive? Or did she perish shortly after the abduction, as one ransom note claimed? The FBI says they are still investigating. They say the case is active. They say they are pursuing leads, but they do not say they are close. The family has offered $1 million for information leading to Nancy's recovery. The reward is still unclaimed. No tip has led to a breakthrough. What do we actually know? We know Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her home on February 1st, 2026. We know there was blood. We know a masked figure was captured on camera. We know ransom demands were made. We know one person pleaded guilty to sending a false note. We know the DNA from a nearby glove does not match any known offender. That is what is confirmed. What remains unconfirmed is whether the ransom notes were legitimate, whether Nancy is alive or dead, whether the FBI's involvement was delayed, and above all, who the masked figure was. This case haunts the American public because it is unsolved, because the victim is a frail, elderly mother, because her daughter is a beloved television anchor. But more than that, it haunts us because it could happen to anyone. An elderly parent living alone, a quiet neighborhood, a dark morning, a stranger at the door, and then nothing. The Guthrie family continues to wait. They continue to hope. They continue to make public pleas. Savannah returns to the Today Show every morning. She smiles for the cameras. She interviews celebrities. She reports the news. But off camera, she is a daughter whose mother has vanished. Her brother Cameron has become a spokesperson for the family. He appears on local news. He updates the public. He tries to keep Nancy's face in the news. "We are not giving up," he said in July. "We will never give up." Investigators have not released all the evidence. They hold secrets back. They know things we don't. That is standard protocol in a kidnapping case. You don't show your hand. You don't reveal what only the kidnapper would know. But 6 months later, the public wonders, is there a hand left to show? The case has changed Arizona law. The Nancy Guthrie Act, a new state law, will require law enforcement to request federal assistance within 24 hours of an elderly missing person report. It is a legislative response to a tragedy, a law named for a woman who may never come home. It is a small comfort, a small legacy, but it is not the ending anyone wanted. Here is what we still don't know. Where is Nancy Guthrie? Is she in a desert grave? Is she being held somewhere? Or did she die in her own home on that February morning and her body carried away? The doorbell camera lost connection at 1:47 a.m. The pacemaker disconnected at 2:28 a.m. The masked figure was on the porch in between. How long was Nancy alone with that person? Did she fight? Did she cry out? Did she beg for her life? We don't know. And until the abductor is caught, we may never know. The FBI says the case remains a priority. Sheriff Nanos says his department will not rest. Attorney General Blanche says the Justice Department is monitoring the investigation. But monitoring is not solving. There is a psychological weight to unsolved cases. They linger. They unsettle. They remind us of our fragility, of the randomness of violence, of the cruelty that exists in the shadows. Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old. She was a mother, a grandmother, a widow. She watched the Today Show every morning to see her daughter. She lived a quiet, dignified life, and then, in the span of one night, that life was erased. Cameron Guthrie continues to search. He drives through the desert. He follows every tip. He speaks to every informant. He has spent his savings. He has exhausted his energy. But he will not stop. Savannah continues to advocate. She uses her platform. She reminds millions of viewers that her mother is still out there. She does not let the story die, because the story is all she has left. The abduction of Nancy Guthrie is not just a crime. It is a national wound. It is a test of our systems, of our law enforcement, of our media, of our collective conscience. A woman was taken. The people responsible are still free, and a family is still waiting. One question remains more urgent than all the others. Will this case ever be solved? The FBI has not made an arrest. The DNA has not been matched. The ransom demands have not been paid. The surveillance footage has not identified anyone. And 6 months into the investigation, there is no clear suspect, no motive, no location. The clock is ticking, not just for the investigation, but for Nancy Guthrie herself, 84 years old, frail, dependent on medication, a pacemaker that stopped transmitting months ago. If she is alive, she is growing weaker. Every day that passes is a day closer to the end. And if she is dead, the family deserves to bury her, to grieve properly, to close this chapter. But closure is not guaranteed. In the end, this is a story about love and loss, about a daughter fighting for her mother, about a family refusing to give up hope, about law enforcement working against impossible odds, about a community searching for answers. And it is a story about a mystery that refuses to be solved. Nancy Guthrie disappeared on February 1st, 2026. As of August 17, 2026, she has not been found. The case remains open. The reward remains unclaimed. The abductor remains free. And the answer to the question everyone is asking, where is Nancy Guthrie, remains hidden in the Arizona desert, waiting to be discovered.